Happy Halloween. I hope every single one of you had a blessed Samhain, a wonderful Halloween, a fantastic Day of the Dead, because yes, it's like the first week of November and I'm just now putting out my finished pages for October. But I tell you, it's worth it because I did a lot. I just put my head in a coloring hole, looked straight down at the page, and didn't look up for 31 days. So there's a lot. I know I watch all of you guys' videos, and every time you say, buckle up, it's time to get, a tea or a coffee, it's something to eat, because this is going to be a long one, I get really excited. I love long videos. And I love watching your videos and seeing so many pages. And I love watching flip throughs. And I just absolutely love watching your videos. So this is going to be one of those. I don't even have a stack of books here for you to look at because there's so many. They would have gone clear up to the camera. So let's look at what I did in October. Let's look at an overview and then let's get started. All right, I am so excited that I didn't even say I'm Candace from Happy Catastrophe, or Sister. A lot of people call me Sister Minbao because I am a Buddhist nun. And I did these are all pages I did. I actually got so confused over here that I had to just start over, make it very clear for this video. So I did 33 pages. 10 is always my goal. I knew I would do more because I did a bunch of Chris Reiniak ones, and they are much easier and quicker to do. And I had a goal to do the 31 days of Halloween, but did you know that there are really only 16 days in October? At least that's as far as I got. After 16 days, I was like, there's some other things I'd like to color in October. So I did 16 Chris Reiniaks, which was amazing. I did, of the untouched books, there were 4 of them. Out of 33 pages, I would expect to do more untouched, but it's 33 because of these 16. So if you take out those 16, I still have 17 pages that I did this. I don't know where I got the time. I just colored like crazy. I did 3 buddies and I involved myself in 1 group buddy. I didn't get 1 group buddy done. I only put out 1 video, and that's actually, it probably was 2. I don't know. If it wasn't 2, it was probably 1. That's because I was coloring. I did buy 6 new books and I destashed 2. The 2 I destashed, one was a postcard book I had bought accidentally. It was a Japanese book, and it was really thin paper, and everything was duplicate, and it just wasn't going for me. So it went to the free pile down at the post office. The other one I destashed was this one. This one's going to the free pile at the post office, and I'm so sad about it. The paper's fantastic. It's one-sided, but it is AI. And there's AI issues in every single picture. I colored the only picture I could find that wasn't too bad, but even it was, although the colors went great and I really liked the picture, and I'm going to save it, and having this really thick paper, it's like cardstock. It's amazing. I did it with alcohol markers, liked the way they went down. However, because so much of these lines weren't connected or were backwards, or there was just so much going on that was wrong, I had to do a lot of fixing of the page. And even if I wasn't against AI for other reasons, I would not want it for that. There's just too much stuff that's wrong with it that you have to fix it. And if you look in this, every single page has got feet on backwards or leaves growing upside down, and it's just, so it's going away. I just can't support that. And I'm sad that they made it sound like it was made by real artists. That's what makes me the maddest. If you're going to make it by AI, say it. Although there is, side note, I just heard President Biden signed in an AI law that now things that are mostly AI, created mostly with AI, need to be labeled as such. So we'll see if that trickles down to the coloring book world. Total books I have after counting is 132, way past my 100 limit that I thought I would keep forever. I still have 42 untouched. So even with all that, my untouched ratio is still going down. In September, it was 33.6, and now it's 31.8. So I'm making a dent. Even though I'm buying more than I'm destashing, I am still coloring in more books that have been untouched. So let's look at the pages. It makes sense to start this video off where the month started off, and that's with Chris Raniak's Morning Scribbles Halloween coloring book. Now, he has a couple of books on Amazon. He has a couple of books on his website, and then he has books for digital download. The difference being, this is one that I bought directly from him, and that website is bindlewood.com. The reason being, the paper is nice. It's good and thick, somewhat smooth. You can see my hand through it with the light. So yeah, you want to put a page behind it if you're going to use alcohol markers, which I did on every single page. Absolutely adorable. Great. If you buy these books off of Amazon, you get completely different paper. You get Amazon printed paper, and it's like newspaper. It's terrible. I did think I was getting a good deal, haha, and bought another one of his books, his Morning Scribbles from Amazon, and it's awful. I can't even bring myself to color in it after having this one. So, yeah, I'm going to probably just give that one away and then buy this one, buy it directly from his website. Then all of his books, I believe, including the ones that aren't available, like Frogs and Friends, that isn't available in book form, you can buy as a digital download from bindlewood.com and just download it to your own paper. So that's the story with Chris Raniak. I definitely recommend downloading or purchasing any book he has, because these books are very well made. He publishes them himself, and the paper's great. He understands what we need in the way of paper. So don't buy them off Amazon. All right, let's see where I started. So I decided to start at the beginning. And I started with this one. And I also decided, let's see if light makes a difference. Ooh, yeah, I think that's good. Maybe we'll turn it down just a wee bit. You never know. Right now it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm at that stage where the light is starting to go, but it's still there. So I can almost get away with doing this with natural light, but I am kind of concerned the colors won't show up very well. So I'm going to do it this way, and we'll see how that goes. So this was my first one, super easy. Again, everything I do is alcohol markers. If there's no alcohol markers, I'll let you know. But it's pretty much alcohol markers. And then at this point, I was just getting started. I was going to do one of these a day. And I decided that I wasn't going to sweat the backgrounds. However, you will see that I did get interested in backgrounds as we went along. There's a kitty and a pumpkin. Most of these were put on Instagram. The last few never made it. This one, I went through all 16 and tried to find my favorite. And I think this one is it, simply because of the subject matter, not because of the coloring. Because I have others I think I colored better, but I love this guy. Look how joyous he is. And he's like, let's go for a ride. And I named this one Wee. Because the ghosts are happy. Everyone's happy. And he's running and his candy's flying. So this is, again, all alcohol markers with some Posca outlining the ghosts. But this background is eyeshadow, which I love to use in this book, especially when I want it to look kind of smoky and strange. I purposely kind of kept it a little bit off of this to let this glow even more. And yeah, it is Kat Von D eyeshadow, I believe. Before I became a Buddhist nun, I was a makeup addict, and in fact, even have a beautician's license. I love makeup, but I don't wear it anymore. It just doesn't really go with the bald head and everything else, robes. So I have all this makeup, and really nice makeup, but it's older. I wouldn't want to give it to anybody. Sharing makeup's never a good idea. So I'm using it on my pages. And as long as you fix it, I mean, I spray this with fixative, so nothing's coming off. I make sure it's the last thing I do, or else if it's not, you'd have to spray it with fixative, then wait, and then do the rest. But I'm not sure how alcohol markers would act on top of this fixative I have. So I just wait to the end, and then I can spray it immediately. Otherwise, I'm getting eyeshadow everywhere. So this was that guy. I just love him to pieces. This is my other favorite one, I think. This had a white background, and what's funny is I've seen a couple other people who have done this, and they did the exact same thing that I did. Or I did the exact same thing they did. Not sure. But we all did this black matte acrylic background. So painted it black. And because he's shining a flashlight, and that was a weird picture with a white background. So painted it black so he had something to shine into. And then that's actually pencil, believe it or not. Not sure why. I did actually a bit of pencil in this one, but mostly alcohol. I have a favorite few colors in my Copics that I do bone in. So I have to refill those because I've been using them so much in October, but it's like the warm grays. I do, light and to darker, and I leave a lot of it uncolored. So this is uncolored. And then I just color kind of where the shadows would be. And that's how I do bone. Seems to be the easiest way for me. Again, nothing's very realistic. Just fun times. I love him. He scaled himself and he has candy in his head. All right. My friend Carrie Kay, I think it was Carrie Kay, commented about this one on Instagram and said, look, I brought you a present. My mom has a Labrador that's constantly bringing her bones and stuff. And I listen to a lot of true crime. So I look at those bones carefully. But so far, they've all been deer and cows, old cows in the next door neighbor's field. So this is alcohol markers, but there's some pencil in there on top. And I would bet it's the color because I really like those colors that I have, the 300 set. They're a good budget set. And if you're on a budget, I would recommend those for the variety of colors. And they're pretty good. I like them. I think for me, the Black Widow, the Spear Farbens probably edge them out a little bit, but the colors are a little bit better than the Black Widows. Maybe those are my 3 budget sets. And then I have like my favorite pencils, Polychromos, but I only have a 24 pack of those. Those were the first pencils I ever got and sort of ruined me for every other pencil. But I do have those budget ones that I'm using. And then someday I will afford to get myself more Polychromos. I'd love to have the whole set. But I like this one. I think he's nice. I did the moon or the sun or whatever this is, and that's in acrylic paint. All right. I just could not get into this one. Chris has a few of these that are, he draws them, but they end up looking like clip art, and I just don't really like them. So I just skipped it and went back to this one. Now, here's where I was like, well, if I'm going to do one of these a day, I'm going to try a different technique every day. So here I tried using gouache and making it look painted. I think I succeeded in making it look messy painted for show. That's kind of what I was going for. So even though this looks messy and like a mistake, it's kind of what I wanted. I wanted it to look very painterly, like someone maybe watercolor painted in, but this is gouache. And put various colors in the stem there. And I think he's just adorable. Not my favorite, but he is adorable nonetheless. Okay, we're at October 6th, and this was the one I did. Here I was like, I'm tired of backgrounds today, not doing it. But I did draw in this cushion. I got halfway into it and realized I don't know how to draw a cushion. So I just kept kind of putting more colors on it. And then finally, all right, just call it good, whatever. Because he wasn't sitting on anything, and I wanted to make him sit on something. I put some glittery gel pen there for the spider web. Everything else is, actually, this one's done in acrylics. I was realizing I needed to do some other things, and the little tiny bit of shading is actually pencil. So I don't know that there's any alcohol. Oh, well, let's check. No, there's no alcohol marker in this. It's all acrylic and pencil. And some glittery gel pen, it looks like, or maybe that's glittery. I think I know what this is. This is, I just bought the new Hemi gouache set of metallics. Whoops. It's actually holding the camera down because it's so heavy. This is Hemi gouache's fairly new set of metallics. It's bigger than their regular set, so there's a lot of metallics in here. So I've been trying to check them out. They're a different consistency than their regular gouache. So I'm having a hard time getting used to that. They're thinner. There must be something to do with metallic, because metallic seems, no matter what form of medium I'm using, metallic always seems to just not have great coverage, where regular gouache has great coverage. But I tried it. I used the silver here, the silver on his eyes. And I'm starting to use it more and more. All right. Another one of those clip art ones I didn't do. Skipped it. And I did this one. Here I thought, I remembered I had stencils. So I got out this stencil that is a couple of different vines, and I put them different directions and in all different greens with distressed inks or some sort of ink pad ink, either Hero Arts or Ranger Distress are probably the two most that I have. The rest of this is done in pencil, believe it or not. I wanted to do him differently. I wanted him to have that pencil colored look, a softer look. And I wanted the pinks and greens. Very, very minimal palette. And I liked it. At first I really hated what I did with the background, and then it kind of grew on me. He reminds me, of Feed Me Seymour, Little Shop of Horrors plant. So I wanted to just put lots of plants around him. These are all of his victims. He's actually holding that one, so maybe he's a plant hamlet, a plantlet, a ham plant. Okay, Candace, give it up. Okay, this one has been a lot of people's favorites, and it's probably mine too. I mean, look at him. He's a toast monster. So the toaster wasn't here. I drew the toaster in. It was just him, and he looked like he was perched on something. And I wanted to give him something, and what else would toast be perched on but a toaster? So this is some metallic acrylic, and it's the same technique I used to make the flying saucer that I painted last month in Mid-Century Modern Animals. And I use black metallic or matte, whatever acrylic paint I can find. But then I put like this silver on top of it. Or it's not even called silver. It's like, yeah, it's metallic silver. So I use, I'm looking at it right now. It's metallic silver. And that gives me better coverage and makes it so it's not just silver. It's got a kind of a dark undertone to it. So it looks more, to me, it looks more metal. A little less streaky, but let's just say toasters have lots of fingerprints on them. This is another stencil that I forgot I had. Not as, a little bit more sloppily put on, but that's fine because I thought it would be like reminiscent or symbolic of smoke. Like he's burnt toast. This is the burnt smell all around him. And of course I made him toast colors. Now this is done. I think this is alcohol ink, a little, and some pencil. So branching out with my pencils a little bit, but it's a lot of alcohol ink. That's what makes these so fast. I use my Copics. I do still have some Spectrum Noirs left. They had an alcohol ink line of pens that they discontinued, and I bought up as many sets as I could afford because they were super cheap. I do like them. They're very juicy. They leak a little less and stuff, but you can't buy them singly. You can't get refills. So I'm just letting those dry out or use them up. And I have a nice set of Copics that I've collected over the years. I buy my Copics mostly secondhand, and then I buy refills. So I have quite a few, and I just decided to invest my money in refills on those and more colors when I feel like I can afford it. And just there's no reason to have 5 sets of alcohol markers. Why not invest all your money in one good one? So Copics, since they're refillable, and my favorite, they have the best brush nib out there. Love them. So pretty much every time I say alcohol markers, I'm saying Copics. This one, I got lazy, didn't want to do a background, so I made it like a sticker. Alcohol markers. This is all alcohol marker. I thought he was cute and funny. Chris Rainiak has such a sense of humor along with his creativity. And because, these are grayscale, I just color over it. There's very little shading that you have to do. He does just the perfect amount of grayscale. It's not too dark, Like if you just take an orange, a couple of different oranges and color over this, you'd have a beautifully shaded pumpkin. So easy stuff to color. By October 10th, I did this candied apple, or a caramel apple is what I made him. I did see someone else do him as a candied apple, and I really thought about that. And then I decided to make him a caramel apple. I'm glad I did. The browns that I used, this one's a little shiny. Is that better? Yeah, maybe. The browns that I used, so you can see, really let his own shading come through, and it gave him kind of a soft caramely look. I like it. He's dripping caramel here. He has got a stencil background. Now, something was wet, and it made my stencil, either the stencil was wet or the brush I was using was slightly wet, the stencil brush. And it kind of, colors kind of bled into each other, and they weren't very crisp, but I kind of like the look. So I'm not too worried about it. They don't look like the candies I wanted them to look like. It's actually a stencil that is those little candies. What are they? Jujubes or whatever they're called, these candies, Mike and Ike's. It's actually a stencil for that. It really is those candies, but I wasn't very good with putting it down. So it kind of is more abstract, but I thought he was cute, and he made me want caramel apple. October 11. Oh, I really liked this one. So I had fun. His background is Distress ink. This is an ink applied with, a brush. I have a few of these kinds of brushes, and I have lots of different sizes and shapes of brushes that I use for applying ink from ink pads. This would have been a bigger brush like the one I just showed you. And then he is alcohol markers again. That's it. I made him, I got tired of doing bones, so I made him orange, and then I thought, oh my God, it wasn't this orange, it was more pinkish red. And I'm like, oh, I just made a bloody skull. He looks like he's a fresh skull. I didn't like that at all. So I started adding yellows and oranges to it, and I'm like, okay, now we'll just say he's Halloween-y. It was not a good choice for bone, and I should have thought about that twice. But look at a little wormy friend. Oh, he's so cute. I liked this one. Okay, October 12th, my bumblebee. So this guy is something slightly different. I need to look at my book. Where did my book go? Because I did a different treatment on this one's, where his bandages are. Yeah. I used a distress ink. So, of course, this is alcohol markers, and this is, I drew these in, obviously. And, and I made his wings kind of see-through, which I really enjoy. That's a challenge that's fun, all with alcohol markers. But this, I was like, oh, I'm not going to color and shade every single one of those. So I took a light color of distress ink. I think it was picket fence, like an almost white, a grayish white. And I took the blender brush and I just started blending over the whole thing, not knowing what it would look like. So it was, it was starting to get middle of the month, and I was like starting to want to do other things. So I did that, and I liked it. I like how it came out. It came out kind of fuzzy looking because there's absolutely no definition. It's just ink rubbed all over it. And I think that works for bandages because, again, his shading's already in there, and that just seemed to be enough for me. And I liked it because it looks different than the rest of him. So, which gives it sort of my brain, at least my brain goes towards, oh, that's a texture, because seeing it's different than this, and it looks soft. So he's in soft bandages. It's not he's not hurt. He's dressed up like a mummy. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, this one got a lot of love on Facebook, or on Instagram, excuse me. This was all alcohol markers, my drunken pumpkin. And I had fun with this one because Cat and Paste, who does amazing pictures and won't divulge her secrets on how she does it. So I'm always trying to, it's not my style, so I can't really do it very well. But every once in a while, I'm like, I want to do all those unusually unexpected colors in this pumpkin. So there's reds and greens and yellows and oranges. And yeah, those aren't unexpected in a pumpkin. I haven't been that adventurous, but they are, you know, somewhat unexpected. I mean, they're placed in strange ways. And that's what I wanted going for me. And I love it. Of course, the white, and then I had a white Posket all over. But I love, this takes a lot more work, a lot more blending, a lot more thoughtfulness, but I really liked it. I did a little bit of that in his body, but it's mostly in his head. And then, of course, he's drinking butterbeer. Although I don't think butterbeer is alcoholic, but don't tell that to Drunken Pumpkin because he's having a good day. And then I went to October 14th. Now, this is one of my favorites. I have really discovered that I love to color snails. So I've got some snail coloring that I've purchased off Etsy that I'll show you soon. And so when this guy popped up, I was thrilled. I spent a lot of time on him, actually. I did some of the same like unexpected colors in him to give him some more depth and reality. I sure like that. I mean, it goes beyond just simply shading with darker and lighter colors of the same color. It's adding other colors, you know, yellows and oranges and a grass green versus a sage green, you know, and like, what will that do? And colors that I normally wouldn't put together. And then I had fun doing Posca dots all over because, you know, cat and paste does that too. But I did it totally, you know, in my style, which doesn't make any sense. And I made his hat. I wanted to make him more like Forest Flory, even though he's kind of fluorescent. So the hat is very foresty green. And the shell I spent a lot of time on. There's a lot of colors in here too, which give it that depth. I wanted it kind of mossy looking, and I think it achieved that. And then he had a broom. I just kind of called it the broom. Just put some. I mean, alcohol markers for me are my favorite medium, and to me, they're the most forgiving. They blend like a pencil does, so you can really get away with a lot. And then I just needed something, but I was done with this picture, so I just took gold, metallic gold acrylic, and actually, I think that's a metallic acrylic pen, and did some gold sparkly stuff around. That's my snail. All right, this one got a lot of love on Instagram, and I like him too. This was the next day. We're at mid-October now. Is this the last one? No, this must be like the 15th or something. This one, another stencil. I've used it before in another book, and I used it to make it kind of look psychedelic. And it seems like however I use it, it kind of gives that like, woo, feeling like I've had too many somethings. Whenever I use black ink, I get it everywhere, so there's smudges all over the place. And then he is done all in alcohol markers. I love his batteries. Is that not cute? Like he's carrying his own batteries around while he goes trick-or-treating so he doesn't run out of juice. And there's this little trick-or-treating can. I tell you, I never actually did get tired of doing these. Not once. I just realized I wanted to spend some more time with other mediums, really. And so that's why I stopped at about October 16, 17, somewhere in there, and switched to other things. Because I felt like I wanted to use some different mediums. Okay, I believe this is the last one. Nope, this is not the last one either. So this one is all alcohol markers. I went for a couple, except this. This stuff here, well, there's some gold acrylic gel pen there. But this, poof, 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 which was supposed to be like either sound coming in or sound going out, is makeup again. Kat Von D makeup. I think it could be any makeup, but it's some kind of makeup. It's eyeshadow. Yep, the rest is all alcohol markers, and all of that gold is just a gel pen, or a acrylic gel pen, acrylic metallic pen that I have. There's no stickles on this. I don't own any. There's on any of these. There's no, although I made their eyes look shiny, there is no glossy accents on them. I do have glossy accents. I just haven't busted it out for my coloring pages yet. This guy is the last one, and he is the one I am the most proud of because I drew in this print. Now, this print was hard because there was folds in his clothes, and so I had to make it look like the print was folded, and I wanted it to be palm trees because I wanted to look like he had on like a Hawaiian shirt, but it's a robe because he's the Grim Reaper. So I had to really think about them, and I'm not sure that they're super clear, but I think you get that they're palm trees, right? And then they're kind of in the folds, and that was what I was going for. And where it's crooked is because there's a fold there, right? And so I was trying to do that. Again, I did the warm grays and brown. I did a little bit warmer. It looks like warm browns instead of grays because he's out in the sun. So he got a little bit warmer, and looks like he did get some color all over because he's been out in the sun. So he's not white bone. I just phoned it in for the sun because I spent so much time on his shirt. Had fun. I didn't draw anything. All this was part of Chris Reiniak's piece of artwork. So the rest of it was all really easy. I went really easy on everything. I mean, this is just gray alcohol marker scribbles, but because I really spent a lot of time on the clothing. But then after I phoned in the sun, I realized that I was probably done with Chris Reiniak for the month, and I didn't want to hate his drawings, and in fact I don't. I would go back right now and do more. They are freaking adorable, and this book in particular I think is super cute. That ghost has a pizza Ouija board. I mean, okay, toilet monster. He's the swamp monster, but he's coming up out of your toilet. There's another toast monster, but he's a Toastenstein, a Frankenstein toast. Look, pizza, and it's like, yes, no, goodbye, pizza. I don't know why he's scared. Because the thing is telling him yes to pizza. I'd be happy. Anyway, that was Chris Reiniak's Morning Scribbles, his Halloween coloring book, purchased off of his website, bindlewood.com. Highly recommend going there and checking him out. All right, let's see what else I did other than this. All right, towards the beginning of the month, I don't know why I felt like I needed more brainless coloring because I was kind of doing it, but I really wanted even more brainless coloring. So I said, color by number is it. Which one do I want to do? Pulled this one out. This is Chonk by Eclipse, meaning all the animals in it are chonky. And this was my very first Happy Mail I ever received. I've received just a couple of Happy Mails, and this was one of them. And it was from my dear friend Melissa Rose online. And she just out of the blue sent this to me. I think I mentioned it. I love this book. And as you've seen it once before when I did this horrible, horrible job on this. And we just pretend like that's not the first page. I moved on. And this is one of the ones I did in October. It is the cover page. So I figured I couldn't screw this up, right? And I really, really like him. He's a big chunky bird. These are so much fun. This one I did with alcohol markers, Sharpies. I tend to use my Sharpies. I don't use Copics on these books. I get the premium paper. I don't know if you can even get it in the standard paper anymore. I think all of his are just sold in the premium, but not sure because he has a lot. It's slick, it's smooth. I don't know how it would work with pencils, but I don't know why you'd use pencils on this. I have some dot markers, like not markers, but just like dotting tools. So you can dip in paint and then dot. And I think I'm going to try one of them with that because these are really small circles. And my tools are that small. So I think I might try that. I think that'd be fun because I can still see the numbers, although I really tried to go over them several times. But I like it when I can't see the numbers. So that chonky bird, like him. And then I moved on, and this was all done the same night. These are so addicting. You finally get done with a page and you're like, I must have more. Turn the page. So I did this dog, and I need some help with my browns I do not. I bought the skin tone even set of Sharpies. I have a lot of Sharpies, but have you guys noticed that the browns don't go together? Like, there's a lot of different shades of brown, but they don't work together on the same page. That's what I've noticed. So that's why I'd like to try paint when in ones that call for several browns, because I just don't seem to have browns that work together. This is a bright orange. I'm not sure why I chose such a bright orange. Anyway, my choice of colors are not very good in these, obviously, but I do, and I don't have a great cream, but I love doing them. I honestly, with the circulism books, don't really care if the end result is not exactly what I'd like. I have so much fun doing them, it doesn't matter. Just coloring circles, circle, circle, circle. It's so meditative and relaxing. And in this book, in all of his books, I do this. I just go in order. So my next one will be yellow and a whole 4 different kinds of green. This has got to be a frog. Chunky frog. Oh, I might work on that tonight. And then these are like more greens. No, these are the greens. That's not a frog, because he is pink and brown again, violet. Oh, it must be some kind of a bird. The greens are around here. What in the world is it? Well, Candace, do it and you'll find out. So that was circulism, and every time I open this, I'm so grateful to Melissa Rose for this beautiful gift. I love this book. Thank you so much, Melissa. Okay, then I did some Molly Harrison, because what is Halloween without Molly Harrison? And many of you did pages out of this book. This book is really a lot of fun. Oh, I love this one. Actually, it's marked. I went through and marked, a ridiculous amount of pages that I thought would work. I was really getting involved with Elm Colors, who was doing Witchtober Color Along 23, and as a hashtag, and doing it in different colors. So she had Candy Witch and Death Witch and Autumn Witch, and they were color palettes. I misunderstood and thought the prompt was the type of witch. So I was looking for a witch who was symbolizing death, and I was looking for a witch who had candy in the picture, because I'm a dork. And so I found this one, and I used it as Death Witch because, duh, she's holding a scythe. But that's not what she meant. The hashtag was the colors. So the death colors, which it says clearly in the instructions, and she put several pictures up showing the palette. It was like purples and grays and blacks and things that you would, So basically I did an Autumn Witch, but with a scythe, and called her a Death Witch. So I'm playing my own game of which nobody else knows the rules. And in my game, this was a Death Witch. And I had a lot of fun, all alcohol markers. I tell you, doing this gray in amongst all this corn sucked. I was so tired of it by the time I was done with it. I tried to look at it. Oh, it's a meditative process. Blech. I was really tired of doing all that gray. But I love her. I gave her blue lips because, she's death. And I loved her scythe. I didn't make it have a shiny look to it. I don't know. I liked this page being flat. So, and I just do that a lot. Often my pages aren't shiny. Some have some shinies, but this one I really wanted just flat. I love this paper. It's crappy Amazon paper, but alcohol markers really work well on this paper. It's not like the Deborah Moeller Zen Doodle ones where the alcohol marker soaks in and then leaves like a dull, like a texture, which is fine. But this one, it does soak through. It soaks through, in and through, but it stays true to the color and doesn't put extra texture on the page. So I really liked this one. This book is so much fun. The only other page I've done is this one. I did this last year. And what's weird is I did it exactly a year. I did this in September 2020. No, that's when I bought the book. I did this in October of last year. I just purchased the book. This one does have some metallic here. And then 1 year later, I do only the second page in this book. Ugh, that has got to change. Because look, there's a lot of pages I marked. And this book is fantastic. Now, Molly Harrison has a very signature style. And so it can get a little repetitive with a book like this. But none of the pages, it's just the girls are kind of all built the same and kind of have the same look to them. But the pages, there's all different sorts of scenes. So I don't know. There's something for everyone in this book. And this one's interesting. She doesn't have duplicates in this book. But this one's a duplicate because here she's not see-through and here she is. And I think it's cool that she put both versions. Isn't that neat? I'd like to try the see-through one, actually. Anyway, that was Molly Harrison's big book of Halloween. So, having been schooled on what the challenge really was with elm colors and now understanding the rules, I went looking for something I could color in a candy witch theme. So this one was not necessarily a witch with candy, although Molly Harrison, this is another Molly Harrison book, has that. I wanted one that I would color in candy colors. Now, this book's different from the other one because these are all like little almost chibi-ish, like cute creatures, where the other one was more fantasy. This one's a lot smaller because it's just one book, where that big book is, I think, a compilation. And I did this candy witch. She doesn't have candy, Candace. It's candy colors. And I really liked it. I am not a pastel colorer. This is about as pastel as I ever get. I try. I really, really do. I was going to do nothing but pastel in this. And I don't know. I can't. It's like, that's all I could do. And then everything else had to be, darker, more vivid colors. So, and she was going to be super pastel, but you can argue that is kind of pastel. The cat, we're starting to get, bright. So, I managed to make a few pastel nods back here is what I managed to do. So, it's all alcohol markers, every single little bit of it. I think I tried to put a moon in here and it was really bad. So I went over it with the blue and then I liked it because it was just sort of a nod to a moon. Obviously, I can't even draw a circle. Look at it. That moon's got issues. So I just covered it so you couldn't really see it. Yeah, this is a fun book. All super cute. I don't need my markings anymore. These cute little things. I was a Sticky Club monthly member for a long time, and they had these in there. They have little paper clips, different shapes. This one is heavily grayscale, which makes it so fast to color. Like, for example, this, you just put straight alcohol markers over it, and the moon will glow, the stars will glow, everything glows. I don't believe, I think I have, yeah, I have something else colored in here. See, this looks like I did a lot to it, and really I didn't. It's just all straight alcohol markers. It's just everything that's glowy was meant to glow, has a glow. I mean, this already has a glow around it. I didn't put that glow in. She did. So, yeah, it's just alcohol markers and a few extras bits. Few sparkly stuff. I mean, this was all done last year, Halloween. I put washi tape around the edges in these. I just hadn't got around to doing it. And the ones I did. Again, this looks like I made it glow, but I didn't. This is all the same orange. So if you're scared of grayscale and heavy grayscale like this, don't be. Just take your water base or your alcohol markers and just go over it, and it'll look like you spent a lot of time on it. And this probably took me half an hour. Same. And then what happens if you're not having to worry about shading, you can play with color, especially in a book that is affordable. So you can just play with different colors. Like, what if I made her green like that with a weird blue? What if I put these colors together? Do they work? So I experiment a lot with these pages because why not? I don't have, see these stars in this moon? they were already there in the page. They were just, she made them white. And this is the same color yellow over it, and I did not put those stars in. So yeah, all of the little details and stuff is for you. So this truly is, mindless coloring. All you have to do is pick out the color palette, which is fun. But then you can just sort of let your brain take a break and just color. I love this book. I think it's fantastic. So let's move on and see what I did outside of Molly Harrison. So a lot of easier coloring was being done the first half of October because I was so busy with the Chris Reiniak challenge that I had made for myself. So anything else I was doing was even easier than those pages. So I did another color by number page. This, I only have a few Hachette Hero books of these tomes. Because they're expensive. They're over 20 bucks a piece. And so I just got the ones I want. I think I have 3, but I have both of the Looney Tunes because Looney Tunes was my favorite. I watched it a lot more than anything else as a kid. So I actually recognize all the scenes from this. So I did this one. I'm looking at I did Daffy Duck in October. And I meant to do this before this, but I was going to paint black over this. I put black acrylic paint to really finish it off. I forgot to do that before this video, so that's something I'll be doing today or tomorrow. I'm having trouble with these because I don't have a good acrylic paint pen option. I bought the Artisas and hate them. They are so not opaque, and I have to do 2 or 3 passes with them, and by then I'm just making messes, so they're not really working. This is actually acrylic paint, plus that Artisa set, I find the colors very strange. There's like a ton of these sort of light yellow oranges, but then no real red, and there's just some really, there's no browns to speak of. It's just not, I bought both of them, both sets, and putting them together thinking I'd have choices, but no, those are not a good option. So I looked into the Thule Arts, which a lot of you have. Wow, you have to buy those by color families, and it's a lot of money. So what I'm doing right now is still trying. I have a few knockoff acrylic paint pens from China that are years and years old that are still holding out, and that's what I did this orange Daffy with, but nothing's really opaque. So this is several layers. I do like how it turned out. This I actually gave up and started using acrylic paint with a brush. And of course I like that because I can make any shade I want. So I just need to continue doing it that way. But it is slower than having a paint pen. And I think I would enjoy the process more because Artisa, those pens are brush pens and I love them. And I think that's a great idea. It's just the medium itself, the paint itself is no good. But I think I really liked this. Now, I ended up doing this one too that you're all looking at, so I might as well show you. Did I do it in October? I'm trying to remember what month I did it in. I think I did this one. I finished this one in November. So you will see this on my November finished pages. But do you all remember the big red monster with Bugs Bunny? You often didn't see all of him. He used to scare me when I was a kid watching Bugs Bunny. Anyway, so I like having, like many of you do, I like having the facing pages done. It just makes it really bright and colorful. And I love this particular Looney Tunes. This book, actually both Looney Tunes are the same because the pages are very colorful and there aren't any dark ones. So a lot of fun to color. I just need to get good acrylic paint pens. And then I think I'd be working in this every day. All right, let's see what else I did. Okay, Mythogoria, Nightmare Cabaret. So this was one I forgot to show in September. I didn't actually do this in October, but I did it in September. And it's this one. This is my second page out of this book. I started off with pencil. And I did this whole skull in pencil. And then I was like, forget that. And I switched to markers again, to alcohol markers. That takes too long and it's too hard on my body. But I did like the effect of him. He's super wrinkly. It's not really a skull, is it? It's just a head, a wrinkly head with a mask, I think, because it's sewn around his nose and lips. So I think it's something. This book does a lot of like sewing things onto skin. It's really, really gross. The bones, the bats, and then Mr. Kenny Rogers himself makes an appearance. Tell me that's not Kenny Rogers as the ringleader. And he's just like, I made him blue-eyed. I made him totally Kenny Rogers. And look at him just smiling and having a good time while Nightmare Fuel is vomiting bats and pooping out bones beneath it. And he's just like, hey, how are you? Let me sing The Gambler. I got a good song for you. On a train out of nowhere. Anyways, I love coloring in these books. Yeah, the paper's a little bit thinner than in Mythographics, but a lot of people complain about that. But I tell you, I don't really notice it that much, actually. Alcohol markers work great. Pencils work great. I love it. So this is only the second page I've done. This is the first one I've done out of here with the scary creeper that scared me every time I opened the book. So this is all alcohol markers, nothing but alcohol markers. So I just love this book. I do have a flip through of this book on my channel of where I basically scare myself going through it. So if you'd like to see that, it is a chuckle. Definitely look on my channel under flip throughs. I don't have very many, so it'll be easy for you to find it. Anyways, let's see what else I did in October. Believe it or not, I have more than one untouched mythographic. I think I have 2, maybe even 3 with Deep Blue. I just purchased Deep Blue. So this was one, but in my defense, it's a brand new purchase for me. I mean, look how nice it is. I'm going back now and slowly getting the mythographics that were published before I got into the adult coloring world, and especially those by Joseph Kattenbeg or Fabiana Attanasio, who are my favorites. So this book, and I don't know about you, but I like to just go into my room where my books live and just pull books off the shelf and go through them. And the mythographics are a favorite of mine to flip through because, I mean, every page tells a story. It's like, I just love to look at these pages. And this one is a lot. This book reminds me a lot of Worlds Within Worlds, one of Kirby's, because it's a lot of animals with weird things going on with them. But the page I did, of course, for Halloween was this one. Now, I've seen several of you over the past year have done this page, and I love it. And so I had forgotten about it. And then I was sitting in my book room and was going through it. And I was like, oh, right, the witchy raccoons. And so I pulled it out and did it. By this time, what did I finish? I was pretty much wrapping up doing Chris Reiniak, although I didn't know it at the time. I needed something that was a little bit more detailed. So this is my raccoons. It's all alcohol markers, except for the shiny stuff. The shiny stuff is some pen. I have these glitter pens. There's just something I ordered a long time ago, some knockoff brand, China brand. And I have to be careful because the glitter does come off, so I'd have to do them at the end and then fix the page. But I made quite a bit glittery, like around the green there. I did some gold around the green, around these clouds, so that's glittery. Her wand is glittery. There's some glitter, the feather, it's got some really nice glitter on it there. All of these swoops are glittery. Yeah. This page was so much fun because I had bottles and books, which are 2 of my favorite things to color. So I had a lot of fun, but I kept it to kind of a limited palette. So I had to get real creative with the books because I was only using the same like 4 colors. maybe even only 3 colors. And then I wanted something to be really bright, and that's what happened up here. Like, this is the potion. So those are clouds from the potion. And then there's like a cloud out in the sky, and I made it different. But look, the potion bottles are all like, magic is everywhere and all kind. And they're making a mess because, of course, they're trash pandas trying to do magic. They're not. It's not going to be pretty. So I just think this page is amazing. I mean, just the little touches of it. Like, this book is just so classic. It even looks like it has writing and illustrations in it. The bottles, you know, have reflections on them. And their clothing, like this one in the witch hat and this one in a vest. How clever is that for raccoons? They're not overly clothed, but there's a difference in them. Now, coloring the raccoons, I've never colored a raccoon before. And I sat down to color and was like, realized that although I see them all the time, I live in the woods in a cabin, I couldn't recall how their patterning went, like where the black mask was and where it wasn't. And so I actually went on Pinterest and found, or maybe even was just Google images for raccoons, until I found some face-on ones and I could see what their coloring was. For some reason, I thought they were more striped than they are, but they're not. They're just this mottled color. Their tail is striped, but the rest of them is this mottled color. So that's what I went for. I'm glad I looked at pictures, because I don't know what y'all would have seen if I'd done it out of my memory. Some weird striped thing with a whole black face. I don't know. I'd forgotten they had white eyebrows. I need to be more observant of my surroundings. Dude. All right. So that is my wonderful witchy trash pandas. And this is out of the Mythographic Menagerie. One that I need to spend more time in, by Fabiana Atanasio. Now, then I did Tropic Goth. Now, this is my group buddy that I did in October. I am part of 3.5 sort of group buddies. So if I do a monthly coloring in all of, well, actually, I regularly involve myself with 5 different groups, but I can't possibly do that every month, or that's all I'd be doing. So I don't participate in every one every month. But this one is a favorite of mine. Christina from Christina's Art Corner has started this with this particular book. And it's my only Carla Magana book. Can you believe it? I have purchased some of her PDFs online, but this is from Etsy. I believe she's on Etsy. Yeah, I think that's where I got them from. But I've never had a book of hers, and I just love her stuff so much. So I've done, I participated in a few. This was the first one we did. You saw this one. This was a couple months ago. And the one we did, and then I missed a month or two, as we do. And then the one I did, I never marked my pages. Oh, there it is. The one we did this month was this one. I call her my fruit bat. I saw this, and the only thing I knew is she had to have orange hair. And then I went, oh, wait, those are oranges. This might actually work. Maybe my subconscious saw those, because I was like, she's got to have orange hair. But I didn't notice that those were oranges. And I'm not even sure these are bananas. They could be leaves, but I made them sort of in bananas. One question I had for the group was, why are her hands like that? Because, that's what you see in AI, right? But it's something Carla does in all of her girl hands. And sometimes she'll have a ring there covering both of them. It's just some stylistic choice she makes. It's very strange. But I kind of like it because it is intentional. It's kind of fun. I made it look, there's nothing glittery on this at all, but I made it look sparkly just by drawing in these little star things with white Posca. So she is all alcohol markers. Now, that's not exactly how pineapples look. That was a bit of a failure. I'm not sure what I was doing there, but I hope it's obvious it's a pineapple, even if it's not quite right. This group is a lot of people, and if you go to Christina's channel, at Christina's Art Corner, you'll, in her completed pages, she has them all in a row, and so you'll be able to see all of them that were completed, and they're all very different. It's fun doing these group buddies. If you're not involved in one, there's no pressure to do it every month. You can do it whenever, just drop in. This one is just a hashtag. So It is the hashtag, and for some reason, I never remember this one. It's Tropic Goth 2023. Like, that's easy enough. And it's just this book, and every month she puts some options on her Instagram and then on her socials, and then people can pick the one they want and the winner wins. And then that's the picture we do for the month. I liked this one. I like this one better than the last one. I had fun. I did something new with these jewels. With crystals, I usually kind of do the same 3 colors, pink, blue, yellow, all together. But then I put that sparkly effect with the Posca stars, and I think they really worked. She is sparkly. And, Carla Magana, her lady should be sparkly. So this was a ton of fun, especially with alcohol markers. I really I have another one done in here. We did this one. And this one has some metallic acrylic background, which every time I do that, I say I'll never do it again. I don't like the looks of that. But I don't know. I wanted it shiny. It's not, it's not really shiny. It's just there. But I like her a lot. She doesn't have many clothes on because she's been in the jungle for a while. But she still has her fishnets and heels. Oh, Alexa didn't like that. So that's Tropic Goth by Carla Magana. Definitely a fun one to get into. And if you want to join along with the group and have your page shown in a compilation video at the end of every month, check out Christina's Art Corner and what the page is for the month, and then color it with the hashtag, whatever that says there, Tropic Goth 2023, which I can never remember. All right, what else did I do? And then she discovers PDFs. Dun, dun, dun. I have never downloaded PDFs before this month. I discovered them in a big way. I always thought I was not one that would like them. I like the idea of a book. I like the idea of going in order. I like the idea of finishing a book. I like the idea of flipping through the book every time I have it out. But Kevin Teo's books are expensive. And I've always wanted to do one of his pieces of work. So I thought, well, people say that he's on Etsy. So I went to Etsy, which is where you buy his books from. And he has single pages. And granted, his PDFs are more expensive than most. They're like just under $4 each. He does have some packs, which save you some money. So you get like a pack of 3 or a pack of 6. And then his books are there too. But I was like, let me try this out. I like this girl. Let me see if I like this. Oh my gosh, have I fallen in love with PDFs. I think I didn't like them before because I was trying to print on a thicker cardstock and my printer can't handle it. So I was frustrated. But I went down a size in cardstock, and I will get, on my next PDF, I will get up and go get and show you what the paper is I'm using. It's Nina. It used to be called Solar White, and now it's Astro Bright. It seems to be a little bit thinner, but it's if you look up Solar White, you get directed to Astro Bright. So I don't know. They changed the name, but I think they also changed the paper itself too. But it is it's not thick, but it's a lot thicker than anything you're going to get in a coloring book. And I can do anything I want to it. And I think the other problem I had was my storage system. So I now have a Peachy. I went to Fred Meyer or Walmart. I think I was with my client at Walmart. They had Peachies for like 20 cents. I bought a Peachy that I have a storage unit. Okay, let me start over. I download the PDF. I save it. I download it on my iPad. I save it into iBooks, which if you have, because I have Apple products, so I save it into iBooks, just a storage where you put books or PDFs, whatever storage system you have. And I have them in collections by the name of the illustrator. And I don't download a lot at once because that's just going to overwhelm me. And then I print them out as I want to color them. And I thought that would be a problem, that if I don't physically have them in my hand, I'm not going to be able to look through them and color them. But that's not true. On my iPad, I really like iBooks, and I can just scroll and look at all of them. And then I print the one I want, the size I want. So I haven't figured out yet how to resize things on my iPad, but how to resize PDFs. But so I just printed it out on an 8.5 by 10 or 11, something like that. So it's a big page. And I had so much fun with this. I used alcohol markers. The neat thing is there's a couple neat things about this. One is any paper you use, the different papers are going to make it look different. It's going to be a different experience for you. I can't print on watercolor paper. My printer won't handle it. But if I could, then I could even watercolor this. But I don't use watercolors in the way that require watercolor paper. So this is just fine. I could print it on marker paper, photo paper, slicker, shinier stuff. I could print it on a tan toned paper or different colored paper. But this worked great for me. And so I had a lot of fun with her. All alcohol markers. I love his art so much. Every single second of coloring his art is a joy. The other thing about getting PDFs is the artist isn't having to put any money in towards making a book. So they can just put out these pages and they don't have to worry about printing them and getting them to you through some sort of third-party seller or something. You can download them immediately. And so I find that I get a lot more variety. The books that tend to make it on the sites for us to buy tend to be really same for me. I get kind of bored. But PDFs can be so different because the artist is just plugging them up on a site. And it's great. I have researched every single artist that I've downloaded the PDFs from. There is a ton of AI and clip art and stuff like that on Etsy. I was shocked. Way more than Amazon because Amazon is cracking down on it a little bit with the AI. There's a lot of AI on Etsy. So you have to really do a little bit of homework. But I'm going to start putting out series of videos where I'll be highlighting a few artists at a time that I've kind of vetted that are true, that are really drawing this stuff. And of course, we all know Kevin Teo is drawing this stuff. So I've got more of him coming in the next few months. Again, just a lot of fun. This one is called Eleanor. And if you look for it, it's on his Etsy site as Eleanor. So let's move on and see what else I did. Okay, the sun has come out and I've decided to turn the light off. Light on, light off, it's hard to tell. But this book works good in this light, I think. And this is Alien Worlds. Of course, I have neglected Kirby for about a month, and I tend to try to work in a Kirby book every month. But Alien Worlds, as you might have seen when I picked up this book in another video, this is a precious book to me because it feels like it's Kirby's last coloring book for a long time, original coloring book. And it's so incredibly detailed and thoughtful, and it just feels like a real swan song. And so it makes me want to cherish this all the more. And it's a story. So I stopped watching flip throughs and haven't looked forward in my book. So I have no idea what the next page is. And what I decided to do was to start at the very beginning and work my way as if I were this explorer and go on the journey with Kirby and just sort of experience it as if I were a space explorer going to all these things. And it's been so much fun. It is very hard not to look ahead, but it is a lot of fun. So this was the first one I did. And I never do these intro pages either, but I just feel like this book needs to be treated very special. So I did that, and it's all gouache. No, it's all the distressed. Let me grab them real quick. It's all these. It's the Tim Holtz or Ranger Distress watercolor pencils, which I call pigment sticks. They shouldn't be treated like pencils. They don't work like pencils. They're like Neocolor 2s. You can put the color down. It doesn't work in, I've said this before, it doesn't work in coloring pages. You need to wet the end and or wet the brush and then take it off the pencil and paint it on there. Don't put the pencil to the page. You'll be very frustrated with that, and it'll take way too much water to dissolve them. I use these like paint sticks, and they are well loved, well used, and I have never once sharpened any of them. That's how pigmented these are. I've used them for a year, and I have yet to sharpen any of them. And I use them all the time. It takes very little. So the price tag on these is about 20 bucks for each one of these. So it's not cheap, but they'll last you forever. And they exactly match the distress inks that they say. For example, this says Rustic Wilderness. This green is. If I went to the ink pad of Rustic Wilderness, they're exactly the same. So if you're familiar with distress ink at all, you'll know what these colors are. And they work fantastic in Kirby books. And you can pencil over them if you want to. Use colored pencils for more shading. So these work for me kind of like what alcohol markers do in a single-sided page book. But this is a double-sided page book. So I cannot use alcohol markers, so I use these. Now, there are 3 sets. I have 1 and 3. There's a second one in the middle, and every payday I say I'm going to get it, and then I do other things. So this payday, I'm actually ordering it. I swear I'm ordering it. Going to get all 3 of those sets because I use them so much. So that's what this is done in, except for this shiny thing and the words. Those were pens. But everything else is done, including these cloud stuff. Everything's done with those watercolor pencils. This one I did, you've seen. All that's in watercolor pencils. They're just so easy to use. Just use it like paint. So that was the next one I did. And I was like, when am I going to get to the book? Oh, no, there's another credit page. So I did this one. And I just did, you saw this, I think, in August. I started to do the letters, but then I was like too impatient. I'm like, okay, there's got to be a page next, right? No, it's still contents. Okay, it's still contents. Do we need the light now? Maybe we do. The sun, it's a weird time of year, and the sun's going down at 2:30 in the afternoon. Then we... Oh, hold on. I see what happened. I lost that light. Aha, that's probably better. Then we had... I decided to skip this because I'm like, I need a real page. Where is the real pages? I'll do this another day. I want to get to the meat of the story. So finally got to this. And this was last... I feel like I've shown you this already, but I wrote down, that I did it in October. Yeah. So I did this one, not realizing how space works. So I did all of the, I did the asteroid belt here in this beautiful blue, and then I did the green planet. Now this planet is the Lost Paradise. So it's all oceans and forests, and it's very green and lush, according to the story. Kirby has a little blurb in the back on every page. So I go to the blurb in the back, and I read it, and it tells me what it is, the Lost Paradise, and then I color it accordingly. If this were a real planet, this would not probably be, it would be getting lighter as I went towards the planet, but I don't really know how things work, really. So I decided to just, I did the opposite because I liked the black around the planet. So that's it. This is all, there is some acrylic paint on there. And the blue here is an acrylic pen. The only color in that whole Arteza set I like. And then this is, everything else is those watercolor pencils. So I just do them very lightly. And this is all the same colors. Some of it's lighter than others. Some has a little less pigment, a little more water, and nothing bleeds through. The shiny stuff is that Hemi metallic gouache. I was trying the silver. I like it because I didn't put it on very thick, so it's sort of transparent. I added those in. Excuse me. I added those in because I felt like I needed something more. So I added the sparkly stuff. So if I showed this to you in September, I wrote it down that I did it in October, but it seems like I've talked about this before with you guys. So if that is the case, I apologize. But this is the Lost Worlds. We're heading towards the Lost Paradise in Kirby Rosanes Alien Worlds. And so next month, excuse me, I am currently working on, we actually arrived at the planet. So I'm working on that right now. That's the next page, and that will be ready in my November finished pages. You'll see that. All right, let's see what else I did. All right, we can zoom back in. Now on to one of my favorite color by numbers, but not everybody's. So I did a buddy with my friend, Tammy Colors too, and Tammy discovered that she hates this book with a passion. I bought it. She actually bought it because I was enjoying it so much. And she thought, oh, I'm going to get it. And she hates it. I'm sorry. What we did in it was, and actually the page we did, I'm not crazy about how it turned out, but this is it. We did Maleficent. And let me show you her page. So it's funny, we chose some of the same shades of green, which is interesting. We both kind of diverged and did something different there. But I just watched her completed pages, and she talks about how much she hates the paper. She doesn't like what her mediums of choice, how they work on this page. She uses pencils, and I don't use pencils. I use paint. So we could use alcohol markers because it is one-sided, but I haven't done that yet. So I'm sorry, Tammy. If you ever decide you want to give it another try, get hold of me. But this is what I did. And it is acrylic paint. I know that this is a paint pen, but the rest of it I think is painted. It's acrylic paint painted. I played around with different shades of green, and not all of them work together. And then I decided, since this, like, she's coming out of a mirror, right? But this called to be purple. So I decided to make the rest of it metallic. And I did it once, and then, look, I even missed a spot right there. It needs a second coat, and I was like, forget it. I'm not going to do that again. But this is a metallic, this is a silver. This is an acrylic silver, and I think this is the one that I have in a bottle. It's not the Hemi. This is from Folk Art, a silver. So it's okay. It's not the best thing I've ever done, especially out of this book. But see, I use color by numbers as experiments. So I got to do a lot of experimenting with a lot of different things here, especially with this, to find out what shiny metallic acrylic can do. How far can I veer away from what the book calls for, the colors the book calls for. Now this book has one color palette for the entire book. Somewhere. And that means that, and I feel because of that, I can be a little bit more loosey-goosey with it. Otherwise, every page is going to look the same. So I can kind of veer off a little bit. But what happens is then I get weird color matches that don't work. So I also need to use, logic in these pages. But one thing that is true about this book that drove Tammy nuts is that there are areas where the number is missing. So you kind of have to just, at that point, I either pick a color that makes sense from the colors that are being used, or I have had to go into the back or go in the front, because the finished ones are in the front and the back, and look at the finished one to see what color they put. It's just like they forgot the numbers and in some spots, and that's kind of laziness, true. But I still love this book. I still do. And there's some of these that when I have extra, when I'm painting something else and I have leftover acrylic paint, instead of letting it dry on my palette and then have to just be thrown away, I go in here and find where it's needed and I put it in there. So you'll see partly finished. Because like I often will be using black on something else and then I'll have extra black left over. And so I'll just go through here and wherever there's black needed, or, purple or whatever color I'm using, that's finished. That's finished. That's finished. See, I like this book. That's almost finished. Finished. I like this book. So you'll see more in it from me, but maybe not from Tammy. So I have decided that for now I'm keeping finished pages in this little portfolio I got at the dollar store. And that way I can keep them with my books and it keeps them somewhat flat. And this is the other PDF I did this month. This is, oh, I meant to trim it down too. This is Tatiana Bogema. Now this is her book, Nice Little Town, Halloween in Witchtown. She has Halloween, and she has Halloween in Witchtown, which is out of the Nice Little Town series. Both of them are available for download on Etsy. In fact, I think all of her books are available in digital format on Etsy. So if you love her but hate the paper, go to Etsy because the entire book is like $5. And so heck yeah, I didn't have Halloween or Halloween in Witchtown. So I bought both of them. I think I got them for $4, something like that, a piece. And of course, this is the page I wanted to do the most. So yeah, I was planning on trimming it, and I still will. But I printed it out on 8.5 by 11, and I did go grab, so you could see, this is the paper I'm using right now. It's Nina, formerly Nina Bright White. Okay, because Solar White is thick. It's cardstock, and my printer will not print it. It's too thick. This is just 65 pounds, 176 G/M. So it's considered heavy, but it's not heavy. I mean, it's heavier. It's the heaviest my printer will work. Now, if your printer can handle really heavy stuff, try the Solar White, Nina Solar White. That stuff is great. That's what I make cards out of. But I hand stamp and stuff. I don't put those things through the printer. This Astro Brights comes in a lot of colors. So you have to, when you search for it, search Astro Bright White. Otherwise, it'd be scrolling through all the colors. But it's thick enough. And yeah, see, that's alcohol markers going through it. But I can do anything with it. This is all alcohol markers, but I am doing other pages that you'll see that I do paint on. You'll see that next month. I'm working on them now. She's taking a milk bath with also honey. And so the kitty is drinking while she's in it. Now this one I had a lot of fun. I didn't quite use a cohesive color palette or anything. Afterwards, I regretted a couple of my color choices, but only for about 3.5 seconds. And then I was like, I just love this picture so much because she's so dang cute. Look at her. I didn't realize that this was probably a cauldron until I saw someone else who had done this page and made it into a cauldron. And I was like, oh, but I made it kind of match her pottery. I used the same colors as I did on a pottery of her plants. I thought of it kind of like she's a Southwest witch. This is like a Pueblo. She's a Pueblo witch. This is like a pottery. She's in a giant pot. I love that she's taking a milk bath, and I love the little bat there. Isn't he cute? Now, I made him so that he would glow and show up. I made him in purple. Tatiana Bogema is one of my favorite artists. She is, everything she does, I love. I love her style so much. It's cute. It's whimsical. It makes me happy. And I enjoy every second of coloring it. Having the books, which I do. I have lots of her books. I even have books like 4 through 11 compilation in a giant hardback book. Like I have almost everything she's done in the Nice Little Town series. Not her Nice Little Town Halloween, which is there's Halloween, there's Nice Little Town Halloween in Witchtown, and there's Nice Little Town Halloween. And that one's the one with the mice. I have that one. And that's probably my most colored in book ever. It's probably my favorite book. One of my very favorite books. It'd be one of the ones that went with me to a desert island. But the thing is, because it's on that lousy Amazon paper, I don't try very many techniques on it. I mostly just do alcohol marker, call it good, have a good time. But they're not like something The finished products I think are cute, but I don't treasure them really. I feel like printing them out on my own paper has given me a whole new, it's opened up a lot more doors with me with her stuff. Now, what did I do? All alcohol markers still, but it looks very different than what it does on Amazon paper. And I like it much better. So I'm actually excited all over again for her artwork now that I can print it out on different paper and do different techniques to it. So yeah, you'll be seeing more. Since the only ones I have of hers digitized are Halloween books, you'll be seeing more Halloween pictures. Actually, you're going to be seeing more Halloween pictures anyway, because even though I did 33 pages in October, I'm not done. I love Halloween coloring. It's my favorite season to color. And the fact that it's only 1 month is criminal. So yeah, we're just going to keep doing Halloween. All right, let's see what else I did. And then we get to the strange and wonderful world that is Any Day. So probably the best, this book is my favorite book of Morgan O'Brien's ever. This book, I have a whole long review on it. It's where it talks about the difference between the premium edition, which is what I got, and the standard edition. And then now there's a digitized edition that you can download off of his website, is Ko-fi. So please go to that, refer to that to get thoughts about the comparisons of it. But I did learn some new things. Morgan O'Brien is being very cheeky about his, about questions. There's been some common questions. For one thing, what does this mean and why did you choose it and how do you say that name? A lot of people have asked, he's only answered here and there, and he's given different answers to different people. So, he does say it's pronounced Any Day, which is what I figured, because any day now, it's kind of fun. So Any Day, Annie Day, like any day. So she's Annie Day. It's spelled this way, and I've seen two reasons for it that both come from him. One is it's an anagram of his wife's name. She has all these letters. So it's an anagram of his wife's name. The other, of which he told a different colorist, was that it's reminiscent of the French word for year. Année. So it's year day. So I'm like, So Morgan is not he's not giving one answer for anything. A lot of people wondered what she is. And he didn't answer that for a long time. And then he just answered another colorist saying that she's based on an aardvark, but she's not an aardvark. So he's just not being he's like, this is his own character. He created Any Day, and she does all the soft, wonderful things. The reason I like her so much is because she's just soft and wonderful. And I find these images extremely soothing to me in my anxious brain, and I really enjoy coloring them. So the one I did was the one with the chickens. I did this. Now, one thing about it is there is a lot of space around these, but because this is the premium edition, let me turn on the light here. Premium edition, maybe you can see it better. It's got that weird painted on texture. It's not real texture. It's just the coloring of the page. So I don't know that I would do backgrounds on these, anything else outside the circles, because this sort of gets in the way. So it's just the circle. And I'll bring you in. So, boo, boo, boo. There we go. And she is, I did this all with alcohol markers, and these chickens were just white. And although I own chickens, I was too lazy to look up. My chickens are all strange. They're all kind of unusual breeds. And so I was wanting to make these like stock chickens, and I couldn't figure out how to make a white chicken. And I didn't want all red chickens. I was like, oh, barred rocks. I like those. So I kind of did this. I looked them up online and just drew in gray squiggles to try to make them look like those kinds of chickens. So that's why they're like that. I had fun with her. See her tail? See, a lot of folks thought she was a rabbit. And she kind of looks like a rabbit, but she has a long tail. And I thought she was a deer, but she doesn't have hooves. So I guess the closest animal that Morgan O'Brien's gonna say she is an aardvark, but she's not an aardvark either. So aardvark-ish, aardvark-like. So that's Any Day. That's my Any Day page. I loved it. I did it to see if I liked this paper. And with alcohol markers, I do. It colors a lot like the premium, like the pumpkin party paper. If you have the pumpkin party book with that slick paper, it colors a lot like that. So yeah, but the alcohol, just to warn you, alcohol markers like don't even soak in. They just run straight through this paper. So I put several layers of what I usually use magazine papers because nothing goes through a magazine page, but I put several layers because the alcohol marker this paper isn't very thirsty. It colors it and it goes straight through it. So, because it's kind of got a plasticky feel to it. So that's one caveat. Just make sure you got lots of protection behind you, but it sure comes out bright. The colors are very true to color and very vivid. Loved it. So that's Any Day. All right. I think, looking at my coloring book, I think we're down to the last one, and we are. So let's hit it. You won't believe this, but we have 2 more. I forgot to write this one down. So I just looked into it. Now this is Sarah Richter, Dunkelbunt. Many of you have this. You can buy it directly from her on her website. These are spiral bound and the thickest cardstock you will ever color. It's amazing. Paper is absolutely wonderful. Now, she has 3 books now. She has Dunkelbunt, she has the Nightmare one, which is her second book, and then she has a third one she just came out with. And unfortunately, it's not like this at all. It looks straight up AI, and I'm so sad about that. It looks like every other AI book you see online. You know, the dragons and the women. The women they're heavily grayscaled. It looks like a picture that's just been printed in black and white. It looks nothing like this style. And I was so excited to see she had a third book, and I went on her website and wow, because these are, I'm pretty sure hand drawn. They look it, but wow, if you just go look at that third book and tell me what you think. It's really disappointing. So I have done one other page in here, and I did it exactly a year ago. And it's the first page I've ever done as an adult colorist. So this was my first try with this amazing book. And this was done at the end of September of last year, right when I was getting into it. There is a lot happening here because I was trying almost every medium I had at the time. So I had gouache, and I have acrylic, and I have pencil. Her skin is pencil. This is, I know what this is because I do all my bats the same way now after this experiment because I really liked it. This is the Tim Holtz Ranger watercolor pencils, the one of the grays that are in there. It's a warm gray, and I just put it in different intensities, and I do my bats that way. I love her to pieces. I thought she was a hot mess for a long time. It took me a long time to fix some of the stuff I was doing to her. She's got some shiny stuff. I mean, I just basically took every medium I owned at that time and tried it on her. The pencils were Black Widow. No, they probably were polychrome. No, those were probably Black Widow. Let me look. I have it written down here. Oh, I didn't write down what pencils I used. Oh yeah, Black Widow. Those are Black Widow. So, yeah, it's all Black Widow pencils here. And then the Tim Holtz. And then this back here is, oh, it's not gouache. It's watercolor. The Rosa watercolors, the Ukrainian watercolors you can get on Amazon. And that's what all this is. So, I loved her. And then I never did anything more in this book. Until this October, a year later. What a shame. So let's see how I've done. This is a year later. It's a little bit more grown up, I think. It is, yeah, I have to zoom out because this is such a big book. It's a little bit more grown up. This woman is called Queen of the Night. And I really like how she came out. This is done all entirely in Himi gouache. Because there's this thing I do with hair that I do with my Himi gouache. And you'll see I did it in a page for November as well. There's also a little bit of sparkly stuff in here too. There's a beautiful red in that gouache. So I put some red out on a palette and I put some black near it. Then I take a big round brush, kind of like this, maybe not quite this big, but kind of like this round brush. And then I dip it in both the red and the black, but they haven't been mixed, so they're side by side. So I kind of dip them and I dip them and I dip them. So all the sides are covered with different varying amounts of red and black. And then I just go swoop, and then I turn the brush and swoop. And what happens is you get streaks because I didn't blend the colors. They're streaked on here. And then I kind of have to like clean the brush, clean it all out. And then I do it again. I dip it through and I dip it through and I dip it through. And then I go through here and swoop and then swoop. And what happens is this is one pass and that's all it is. There's no shading, no nothing. It just puts down the different, and wherever the paint was on the brush, it comes out on here. And so it looks like there's highlights. It looks like there's lowlights. It looks like it's red and black streaked. And it's so easy. It's so easy. So I use it on a PDF in November and that I'm working on right now. And I think I did it better than I did it here because I'm getting used to the technique. It's just super easy. So try that. Sometime try putting your colors like right next to each other. And then just run your brush. A round brush works really well. I don't think a square brush would work the same. I think you'd get more stripes. But with a round brush, you can actually curve it too. And a squared off brush, you can't do that. And then just try putting, your brush through so that the black and the red aren't mixed on your brush. And then just try swooping it and see what happens. It makes these swirls. And then the bats. This was a pain in the butt. All this black lacing. But it's all done in that gouache. And there really was a palette to this. The pink, the pale pink and the pale gray was a palette. So for me, I wanted her to be very feminine. And I wanted her crown to look like wood. Not necessarily, I don't know what it's supposed to be, but it seemed like, bats are hanging from it. It was kind of branchy looking. So I just used a brown and a yellow and mixed them in different amounts and different ways and just did that. Paint is so easy. Paint is forgiving. If you don't like it, you go over it, Paint is forgiving. And then, I went over this many times trying to get this the way I wanted it. With these different stripes. Now these stripes were drawn in like that. And so I have a hard time not following the lines. So I made stripes as well. But yeah, that's her. I liked her. She's been bitten. This was also drawn in. So the bites were there. Again, I really hope she hasn't gone to the AI side, but go to her website and look at the first book, look at the second book, and then look at that third book. And let me know what you think. It's a shame because this stuff is amazing. I mean, look at this. Amazing. All right. Now we're on to the very last one. And the very last one, be Dracula. Now, Dracula, this is, I think I got this from Thrift Books online. I got it used and it was completely untouched. I got it for $3. So yeah, make sure to check out Thrift Books. I think I got there through Amazon though. I just went to Amazon and then it says like 170 of them for new or used for starting at this amount. I think that might be where I got it from. But you can go to thriftbooks.com too. And so it was brand new. It's a little beat up now because I've had it for a while. See, I got it in October of 2022. Had it for a year. This is another one where I did one page a year ago and did the second page now. So this is what I did a year ago, and I used Rosa watercolors for this. So this is all paint. And I really enjoyed this a lot. This was, the train is coming, and here's the story. This is where He is coming to Dracula to work for him. He has been summoned, and he's here. He's heading the way. So I've never done a train before. I had a lot of fun with this. Again, paint is very forgiving. You can make all kinds of shading and stuff with paint. So I really like paint for anything that's got these big expanses. I don't want to do, for one thing, you can't do alcohol markers. This is double-sided. And I wanted to do certain effects. I wanted to make it look like, you know, parchment paper. And so paint just makes it easier. And that's where I stopped, because I wanted to do this one also like a story, starting at the beginning. So Tammy Colors 2, my friend Tammy, bought this book, and she said she would like to do a buddy with me. And I said, well, I'm on the next page. Would you like to do the next double page after the train? And yes, so she did. She has not quite finished it, but she has shown it on her finished pages. So go look at her finished pages. I will try to link it down below. Because I see where she's going with it. And I think she's going kind of where I went with mine. So here is mine. This is just a woodsy type setting. So over here is the clock. And it's got the innkeeper's wife predicting doom and gloom on the eve of St. George's Day. And so this is all gouache. This is the Hemi gouache. I wanted this was a big page with a lot of big expanses. I didn't want to use my watercolors on it. I wanted something really opaque. Unlike where this is not so opaque. I wanted something really opaque. Now, the black was already there. So I knew that I wanted the trees and these weird creatures to glow. So I started doing the background and the trees first. And I did them with the gouache, and then I didn't like the black lines. There was all these black lines, so I went over them with an acrylic paint pen, because I didn't like the black lines. And that kind of made the trees look kind of like they were glowing, and I really liked them that way. And I made the ones in the back less defined, but just as glowy, so that you had that feeling of distance. And then I kind of made the very background lighter than the foreground. I think I was thinking there might be a moon shining on it or something. But then as I got to this really dark foreground, I'm like, whoops, did I just paint myself in a corner? What color am I going to make him? Because I really wanted him red. But that Hemi gouache, H-I-M-I, Hemi gouache, you can get it on Amazon, has a gorgeous red in it. So I just did various shades of red, and I did many layers. I used that red, and I darkened it, and I lightened it, and I mostly just darkened it. And I would let it dry and then put something more definition on it. So this creature, it's okay that he blends in a little bit. I kind of wanted that. I didn't want him to glow. I didn't want everything glowing, but I liked making his mouth and eyes glow, because that way you actually see him. Your eyes go to him, you see him. These guys were done in gouache. I was able to make that really ugly color by mixing a few things. And then they were outlined. So where I put the brown lines was actually the lines. And then they had like an outline. Like maybe, I know who the artist is. They name her. And I always want to try to name the artist. Shelley Carroll. Shelley Carroll is the artist of this book. I know that Shelley Carroll was intending for these to glow because they had like an outline, kind of like a sticker outline outside of the lines, which made it really easy for me to just carry the color all the way to the outline and then draw in the lines. So it kind of gives them like they're stickers, like they're not real, like they're cartoony, but they also glow. Because obviously they're not real. This guy's holding a gun, like he's sniffing a gun, like he found a gun. I thought it was a stick at first, but if you look at the detail, which I mostly covered up, it's a gun. And then the bats, because the background was already black and gray, I didn't want them black and gray. So I made them gray, but with the purple undertones. And then I put some of that great red in their mouths and eyes and stuff. That one's really scary. So they were made with the same purple and gray mixed at different gradients, I think is the right word. And then the clock, I wanted to make it reminiscent of this parchment paper, but this is watercolor and this is gouache. So it's more opaque. And then this is actually a gold acrylic pen. So it's shiny. I did do black. This is a black glaze pen. I did do black glaze outlining those. And the hand of the clock. So it's shiny too. And then the brambles are a silver metallic acrylic pen. That's the only, I love this. I love how it turned out. It's pretty much exactly like what it was in my head. The silver brambles, I'm on the fence with, but I do like that I made them glowy. I'm not sure I made them the right color glowy, but I'm glad they're metallic because this is a busy page without being very busy. And I didn't want your eye to be drawn to everything, but I wasn't really sure what the focus of the page was, where we should be drawn. Of course, we're going to be drawn to these words, but there's a lot happening here. And I'm like, should I be looking at this creature or these creatures? So I try to make some things stand out while other things receded, so your eye wasn't overwhelmed. And these sparkly brambles, because they're a dark pewter color, kind of both stand out when there's light, and then when there's no light, they kind of don't. So, like, you see the light from my window, but when there's no light, they kind of just become part of the background. So they can stand out or not. So that is my Dracula page for the next Dracula page. And if anybody has this book and wants to do the next double page with me, it's the carriage page with the horses. This will be the next one I tackle at some point. So I love working this book. This paper is great. It's thicker than the paper I print PDFs out on. It's nice and thick, not as thick as the Sarah Richter paper, but it's great paper, and it takes paint really well. It takes pencils well, everything but alcohol markers or anything that bleeds through. So yeah, that's Dracula. Oh my gosh. So that was 34 pages, actually. I'm going to add the Sarah Richter one in there. So it's 34 pages. You may not see that again. It was mostly because 16 of those were the Chris Reiniak. But like I said, taking those out, that leaves 18 that I did this month. And that's the most just there. I've only ever done 15 was the most I've ever done before. So thank you for sticking with me on all of this and for watching my finished pages. I think every couple of days I see a new one of someone of you has put up a new finished pages video, and I just love those. Those and flip throughs are my two favorite kinds of videos to watch. So you're making me very happy. I'm watching them all. All right, you guys have a wonderful November, and I'll see you soon. Bye.